Systemism. Systemism is a term coined from two different concepts. One is that of systems and the other one that of mechanisms. Thereby, any object or entity in systemist analysis is considered either as a system itself or as a component of the system. A system is composed by a set of nodes or components. It is a group, ഒരു സെറ്റ് എന്നൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് വിളിക്കാം. അതതിൻ്റെ കോമ്പോസിഷനാണ്. അതിനൊരു റിലേഷൻ ഉണ്ട്, ഒരു റിലേഷണൽ സെറ്റപ്പാണ്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആൻ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ, അതിനൊരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷണൽ സ്ട്രക്ചറുണ്ട്. സ്ട്രക്ചർ ഓഫ് ആൻ ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ എന്ന് നമുക്ക് പേരിട്ട് വിളിക്കാം. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് സിറ്റുവേറ്റഡ് ഇൻ എ സർട്ടൻ എൻവയോൺമെൻറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ദർ ഇസ് ആൻ ഇൻ്റർറിലേറ്റഡ്നെസ്, an interrelation of different agents, and it tries to contribute to constitution of a specific system, and it is having its own process, its own properties. It is having certain global properties, a nation's culture, then it has its own ways and means of success, or some other different features it acquires throughout. It is having relational properties also. For example, creditor, employee, employer, or a family relationship. So the concept of the system can be applied in various levels. For example, a family consisting of different members with a particular relation to each other. At the same time, it is a part of the community also. Then we can see different levels or hierarchy, subsystems, subsystems, super systems, etc., which is having its own framework. So that is the hierarchical understanding of the reality in different heterodox approaches, especially in the work of Herbert Simon. The second fundamental aspect of systemism is mechanisms. It is a law-like situation. The first one is simply system, which is based on certain relation, like family relation. The second one is something more complicated. It is more or less mechanism, meaning of law, the social phenomena, then across social systems, then stabilizational activities that is taking place, etc. So it is a process, it is a concrete system, and it is having its own systems like natural or social system. So there are three rough types of mechanisms that we can distinguish. The first one is within the level mechanism, operate within social systems, and the second one is bridging mechanisms also work within a system. Bridging mechanism will be the second one. So like structure, agency, top-down relation, individual relations, etc. And finally, there are mechanism operating between a system and its environment. One example is the heterodox approach, that is integrating all the agent-based stock and flow consistent model. So we have three types of mechanisms within the system. Then the structural agency relationship, that is a bridging mechanism, and there can be another form of mechanism that is operating between the system and its environment. So all these focus on mechanisms and try to find out what are the things that is taking place in the social framework or in the economy. So here the mechanisms tries to find out the standard model that is underlying the empirical relationship. So what is taking place? They're trying to find out the answer to this question. So in a heterodox economics, there is a systemist framework. It can operate in the macro level or also at the micro level. If it is in the macro level, we have to think about increasing inequality, aspirations, aggregate working hours, higher returns, etc. In the micro level, it can be about bargaining power of workers decreases. Then there is aggregate capital hours, working hours will change. That will make higher propensity to work. higher returns to capital will occur, and so many changes are taking place. So there can be micro macro interactions. So in the first case that we are discussing right now, social evolution to explain allegedly counterintuitive relationship between rising inequality and increasing working hours. Whether there is a relationship between increase in income inequality and increasing working hours. So, a higher level of income inequality induces an increase in consumption aspiration across households. So, that is meant to make a standard or to live up to the aspirations, which is a part of the household and their interaction with the society. And what happens is that it is a downward spiral. In another aspect, we can see the selection of one of the groups, traffic rule, that is an evolution of a traffic convention. So what we can understand is that there are emergence of various conventions in the society. So all these things shows that systemism is far away from a methodological straitjacket. A schematic approach is utilized in the examples to facilitate conceptual thinking and crafting of various aspects. So there is a complex relationship between various levels of attention and in heterodox theorizing. So we tried to find out an evolutionary institutional social economics in which the society and its relationship matter a lot. So this is all about the micro macro link in heterodox economics. We started off with the introduction, that is micro macro link entails two main questions. Then that question is of relevant social sciences in general, then specificity, that the similarities and differences of the treatments of aggregates and aggregation, then aggregates and aggregation in science and illustration. Then we saw symbolistic fallacies, static fallacies, dogmatic fallacy, and hierarchical fallacy. Then on the go, we try to analyze why the whole is more than the sum of its parts. We try to find out the relations and how does it matter. Then what about the novelty, especially the cycle network, the kind of networks that we have. Then path dependency approach, different types of approaches, and also systemism and systemist framework. So these are the different aspects that we have dealt with micro macro link. So from here we have to move on to another topic which will lead to further understanding of the subject.